Okay, this is part 2 of the Tinkercad tutorial. I got cut off last time, but we were in the process of trying to make this 5. You can see how far it sticks out from off the side of the dice. So the Tinkercad is telling us to reduce the height to 1 millimeter. So how you're going to do that is you're going to click on the white dot right there. You can see when you hover over it, it pops up and shows us the measurements right now are 4 millimeters. So I'm just going to click and drag that down until it says 1 millimeter. Okay, go ahead and hit next. Step 4, we are pretty much going to do the same thing, but we're going to be putting a 6 on top of the die. So right now you have this work plane here that we inserted to put the 5 on there. You want to get rid of that work plane. To do that, you're going to hit W on your keyboard and then just click anywhere else on the original work plane, and it will get rid of that work plane for you. So what we need to do is, let's reset, take a look around so that you can see the top of your dice, and you're going to go ahead and insert a work plane on the top. Again, you can go over here and click this and drag and drop the work plane, or you can just click W and then you'll see the little work plane appear, and then click on top of the die. Let's go ahead and get our 6. So you're going to go to your numbers. I'm going to go kind of quick here because you guys have already done this. Grab your 6, drag it over and drop it. And I'm assuming they're going to want us to go ahead and drag that down also to 1 millimeter. So again, if you rotate your work plane, you can see a little better. I'm going to click and drag that white square down to 1 millimeter, and then we've got the number 6 there. Okay, so I went ahead and did 5, scale it smaller to height, and we did 6. Alright, so step 7, they're telling you, it says now drag the work plane to empty spot. I'm trying that and it's not working. So what I recommend you do if you're wanting to get rid of the work plane, again, is you hit W on the keyboard and then you just click somewhere randomly, and that will get rid of the work plane for you. The last step is to go ahead and group the items together. You should be remembering how to do this by now. We're going to click and drag a box around the dice, which also includes all the numbers and everything. We're going to go up here and we're going to hit group. Now the dice should move with the numbers on it instead of moving as separate objects. Alright, now we are in the Minecraft Party Glasses lesson. Start off by clicking and dragging the cube into the work plane. That's step 1. Step 2, okay, so we're going to scale it to a height of 5 millimeters and a size of a 6 by 6. So we're going to grab the top here, click and drag down to 5. Oops, a little too far. And then we're going to grab the side here, and this is where we're going to make it a 6 by 6. This gets a little tricky, so you got to be patient with it. So I got the 6 on one side. Now I got to drag it down to a 6 on the other. So then you can see it's, oops, there we go. If you can look at the screen, you can see that it says 6 by, there's 2 6s there, so that's basically a 6 by 6. Step 3, we're going to drag the box to the orange area. And then we're going to copy and paste the box to fill the rest of the outlined areas. And then it says, I don't like this alt way, so I'm going to stick with the good old Control-C-V, and that's going to copy these boxes. So you just got to click them, you just got to drag them into the orange area. Every time it copies one, grab it and drag it into the orange area. Control-C-V. Just going to do a couple of these for you. Make sure you don't accidentally grab one of those white squares, because that's going to make you scale the objects, and you don't want to do that. Okay, once you've got all of your boxes, go ahead and move on to step 4. Okay, so we're going to stretch this last box here. So click it to select it, And then, this might take a little bit of trial and error. Yep, there we go. Grab that white square and click it and drag it to 20, what's it say, 24 millimeters. So if you look at that top number there, it's at 24 millimeters. Go ahead to step 5. This one's pretty easy. You're just going to copy and paste the long rectangle that you just made and then move them to each of the 3 orange outlined areas. So I'm just going to go Control C, V, C, V, C, V. I held down Control the whole time. So I made my 3 more shapes, and I'm just going to drag them and drop them where they belong. Okay, go ahead and move on to step 6. All right, at this point, I feel like you probably have a pretty good handle on how to copy and paste and scale your objects and move them around. If you want to go ahead and continue with this lesson, you may. Otherwise, you can go ahead and move on to the next lesson. Okay, so we're to the point where some of these steps you should already know how to do. So I'm just going to record the ones where I think you might need a little bit of help. So if you haven't done, I'm on 3 now, so if you haven't done 1 and 2, go ahead and pause it, do 1 and 2, and then if you need help, come back at 3. I did the first part of 3, or no, just kidding. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to scale the diameter to 10 millimeters. So if you're just doing the diameter, then you're going to click on the side here, and you're going to scale it down to 10, like that. I believe I just skipped step 4, so pause it and do step 4 first. Now step 5, when you're ready for that, says copy and paste the cylinder. So I'm going to select it, hold down Control, hit CV. Then it says lift it up on the surface. Okay, so this is the first time we're doing this. If you want to lift an object up, you're going to click this arrow here. Once you click that arrow, you can see that it's lifting up the whole object. Now, notice the numbers at the side. Right now they're at 10 and 7. You want the 7 to be at 0. That means it's sitting on the work plane. So if you were to move this, you could see the first object we had was there. Let me go ahead and move it a little further. I'm just going to drag it to the side, maybe not. Lift it up. Sorry guys, hang on one sec. Okay, so we're at 0. I select the object and I'm just going to try, there we go. Wanted to move it so you could see when you go like this, if it wasn't on the surface at 0, let me show you this real quick. Sometimes if you have it at negative, like see how it's at -4 on the side there, when you look, you can see that it's a little bit under the work plane, so that's not good. So as we move it up, -2, now you can see it's a little bit above the work plane, but still some of it's under it because that's that negative there. So you want to get that to 0 so that it's resting flush on the work plane. And then I'm going to go ahead and just drag it back into the orange zone there. Okay, this one was a little confusing. So it says scale it to a diameter of 3 millimeters. So I looked when I shifted, or I moved my screen here. I can see that little orange spot is just a little small cylinder there. So I'm assuming it wants you to grab this here and you should be able to make it to a 3 by 3. Okay, once you finally got it to the 3 by 3, go ahead and drag it and put it into the orange spot. Now if you want to double check and hover on this thing right here, this shape right here, to make sure that it's at 0, which means it's resting on top of the object below it, then do that. Okay, now I'm on step 10. If you haven't done the other steps, make sure you do those. I wanted to point something out to you guys. So I was doing this step where it says, actually, I guess I was on step 9. It says to drag and drop any shapes or letters you want. I just went ahead and did the O and the K. Then I went on to step 10 and it says scale it down to height of 3 millimeters. When I took my grid and I rotated it, notice what happens. This is why you guys always want to check in and see that all of your objects are where you want them to be. I apparently did not insert the work plane on top of the little cylinder like they said. So when I dragged my letters over, it looked like they were there, but when I moved it, I could clearly see that they were not where they were supposed to be. So in step 10, when it says scale it down to a height of 3 millimeters, before you can do that, you're going to need to group them. So drag your rectangle around and select group, and it becomes one object. Then you should be able to scale the entire thing down to 3 millimeters. You know what? I think I may have messed that up, because I think maybe what it was telling you to do is to scale down the letters to 3 millimeters. I'm not sure. Go ahead and probably just scale the letters down to 3 millimeters. I'm going to move on to the next one. Sorry guys, as you can tell, I'm totally making this video last minute, and so I'm rushed. I do need to show you how to ungroup them first. So if you just want to ungroup something, you would just highlight them just like we did before and just go up here and hit ungroup, and it will get rid of that action for you. So now, if you wanted to scale down these letters, just click them individually. Click on where it says, click the white square, and it says 4 millimeters, drag it down to 3. Do the same thing for the O. There you go, and you're good to go for step 10. The only other thing I wanted to make sure that you guys know how to do in Tinkercad that I don't think they've showed you how to do yet is to flip objects and to rotate the objects. I'm just going to make an object real quick. So let's say you wanted to rotate this object. You can rotate it this way, or sometimes you want to stand an object up. So in order to stand the object up, you need to move the work plane, and then you're looking at it from a different view, and then you'll see that the arrow changes then. So now you can flip this object up this way, and then from there you would need to pull it up and get it how you want it. But that is how you rotate your objects.